All right, ReVibe Nation, what is going on? Ray here with ReVibeNow.com. One of my favorites, one of my brothers in the pursuit, Ryan Thursby. How you doing, man? Everything's good. 13-year vet, Army guy, hanging in there doing his thing, man. How you doing?
Dude, it's been great thus far. It's really good to see you. It's been a long time. Looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a great discussion, guys. From a leadership standpoint, everybody out there in ReVibe Nation, all you entrepreneurs out there looking to make it happen. It's great to always have the perspective of our U.S. military personnel, our good friends that help and support and protect us all the time. But particularly from a leadership standpoint, Ryan, we can go ahead and jump in, right? So you're obviously working and developing with young people, building character, all those great things. I'm curious to know, just given your experience, and you're going to touch on it briefly here in a second, but what would be your top three kind of leadership components that could really help some folks out there looking to build teams and develop new personnel?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for the introduction. Real happy to be on ReVibe Nation. Super excited for it. So to kind of give us a little bit of a background. So, Ray, you already kind of hit on it. Been in for 13 years, done a lot of different jobs in the military. Yeah. Frankly, just been in multiple leadership positions of all different types. I could safely say that I've led, over 300 people in combat, outside of combat. I've had one deployment. It was a hell of a ride, but, obviously I'm here now, to try and share the experience. It wasn't anything too crazy, but also wasn't easy. You learn a lot of things from not just the deployment, but just simply being in the military. And so, and it's of all ages and all sizes. I mean, seriously, some of the best leadership and mentorship that I got, it wasn't from an older, general or an older guy that's been in or girl that's been in for 20 years. Sometimes the best mentorship I got was actually from one of my soldiers who's 21 years old and he's getting after it.
Oh, right? Yeah. Ryan, let me just interject real quick. I do want to say, just for the sake of, love and respect for you, that, these are your own thoughts. You're here hanging out with me today. So I appreciate that. I just want to make sure our audience understands that, this is not a reflection of the government or the military. Ryan, we appreciate you being here and sharing your leadership thoughts with us today. Please go ahead.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that, Ray. So continuing on, right. And so it going back to, you can learn from anybody. It doesn't have to be just based off of age and experience.
Right.
And so when I look at leaders, I think everybody, if they want to, is a leader, whether they recognize it or not. And so you talked about, three principles or three tenets. And I actually try to look at it from a perspective of you have the leader, okay, and you have the follower. And everybody is a leader and a follower at the same time. It just depends on what situation it is. And so one of the things that we really tend to focus on the military, but it's also, again, my personal thoughts behind leadership and how I like to lead, because there's so many different approaches to leadership, is as a leader, it's important to actively listen. It's important to lead by example, and it's important to create a positive experience. Yeah. And so to hit on those very briefly, and I'm going to get into the follower piece. So active listening, I think it's a pretty common definition, not going to get too much into that. But the big thing is you have to be observant. You have to turn on your brain, right? Yeah. You got your alpha and your beta brain. You got your kind of cruise control brain. I'm just doing my flow. I'm doing my thing. And then when you get into, you're with someone that actually you might be able to learn something, you need to switch it on. You need to remind yourself to switch on that switch and say, oh, I need to listen from as a leader, right? To say, oh, this person is trying to tell me something important and I need to hear them out. And I need to make sure that I basically address what they are trying to convey to me.
Right.
And if
Right.
I
Some
just
sense of acknowledgement. Right.
exactly, and then you're going to have that much easier back and forth conversation. It's not going to be this kind of, you know, I don't know if I could swear on here, but kind of a,
Yeah. This is ReVibe, bro.
all right, yeah. It's kind of like a half-assed conversation where you can,
Right.
I mean, when someone's not really paying attention, you can pick up on that stuff really quickly. So I think understanding when to turn on that alpha brain in that sense and actively listen. The other thing is lead by example. We talk about discipline a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We talk about discipline, but this is actually a step above of discipline. Okay. This is a little bit of a higher calling than just, I need to make sure I wake up at 6 every day. Right.
Right. Right.
Lead by example is I am doing the things inside at work, doing my thing and I'm doing the same thing outside of work when no one else is looking.
Right. Right.
That's what lead by example is.
Do I carry myself the same way with this versus that?
Exactly. And people can tell. They know, whether they know you personally or not, soldiers can tell by the way you carry yourself, just like you said, Ray. When you step into that job, on Monday morning at 6:30 on that PT field, they can tell if you've been out doing a binge drinking, all weekend, and you don't really care about your appearance, or hey, even though you might have been doing that, and which is that's your prerogative, but you still took the time to make sure you were in the right uniform at the right place at the right time.
Right.
And so that's important. The third thing is this is my personal favorite, is creating a positive experience.
I love it, man.
And so just real quick, it's just, hey, it's important for everybody to enjoy themselves, whether it be through stressful situations or not. And if that person or group of people think that just simply stress means bad, well, you're wrong, because there's two different kinds of stress. There's that eustress and that positive stress, and there's that distress. And so it's up to you as a leader to say, hey, folks, this is not bad stress. This is good stress. And this good stress is actually going to elevate you to a totally new growth in a totally new area that you never thought was possible. And that, in essence, creates that shared experience and that positive experience.
The shared experience is very important, and you nailed it. And another component to that, in what which is actually a great segue, in terms of being able to compartmentalize almost, right? You got to be able to be ready when you step into the, we'll say, the arena. I'm an athlete, basketball, you know me well. And when those lights are on, regardless of, prior moments, right? Can you lock in, right?
Yeah.
I think that's very important, especially when you talk about leading by example, because the folks that are watching you and paying attention, they want to see how's he going to respond in a given moment. So very 100%. Important, very important. And again, guys, ReVibe Nation here with Ryan Thursby, my guy, my bro. A lot of great conversations with you through our undergrad experience. I really appreciate you. It's been great to watch your kind of journey here over the past decade over. So thank you for serving our country, sir. It means a great deal to this platform, and we appreciate that. And when we look at balancing, obviously, your role as a leader, you got to have some personal time too, right? So,
absolutely,
to go to that beta side of your brain that you mentioned. It's been awesome to see some of your competitions. It's been great to watch that. I thought it was really cool. So if you don't mind, Ryan, just life-work balance, and if you want to kind of follow that up with some of your shooting competitions, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of walk you through an average day for me. So it's a 10 hour to 12 hour work day. Okay. So it's a 6 to 6 kind of deal.
Right.
I don't even take lunches, frankly, but lunch is important, but it's just sometimes you got to work through it. And for me, it's all the time, which is fine. It's the job I signed up for. So get home, do a workout. I usually, per week, I have about 10 hours of working out. So you can do the math, that's 5 days a week, or maybe sometimes 6 days a week.
Putting the time in.
Yeah. And then about 10 hours a week of dedicated training to my passion, which is shooting.
Yeah.
And to talk about that, I'm a USPSA member, which is United States Pistol Shooting Association. It's
Awesome.
a national thing.
Yep.
And it's nothing, I don't want to get the hoopla away, but it's nothing necessarily special to sign up.
Right. It's just
right. It's you can sign up and you can get a member number and that's awesome. But it's do you actually practice and do you put the time in to do the work?
Right. Exactly.
And to elevate your status to get to those high levels of competitive shooting.
Right.
And just like anything you do, in order to get better, you need to do it a lot.
Yep.
And so I take the time out to do it.
Yep.
And to add on that too, people that don't necessarily know, and it's no offense to those, 150 rounds may sound like a lot to some, may sound a little to some. Okay. Right. But really it's every round counts. Okay.
Right.
And that's a metaphor for more than just shooting. Every round counts. Every round that leaves that chamber, the pistol that I shoot out of, has to be meaningful and it has to be purposeful. And so it's not just me toying around with the thing and having fun. There's a time and place for that. And I enjoy that too. But when I'm practicing, every round counts.
And we definitely appreciate you sharing your experience, right? There's a discipline behind it. There's a focus. There's a understanding of time. There's an understanding of how your body has to be balanced. I mean, there's a lot of things. Do you pull at properly? All that stuff matters. And then obviously taking the shot. Does it count? Did it matter? And obviously a metaphor to, our greater American experience in terms of just, success in general, right? So every day we have to go after it. So you hit it on the head. ReVibe Nation again, right here with ReVibeNow.com. Talking with Ryan Thursby, my guy, 13-year vet, making it happen. So, the conversation around gun control 2A, as we look at these things, obviously, for folks of our ilk, we believe in what the 2A stands for, what it means for us as U.S. citizens. But I think where we have to take the conversation a little bit, Ryan, and we talked about it offline a little bit, is the education behind it, right? I think there's a space and an opportunity and a void, quite frankly, that can be filled. Just to get into kind of the bulk of our discussion here is, as a passionate person you are with the sport and with your service, why is the educational process maybe not as out there as you would like, and how can we kind of move that needle forward because it's so important? And honestly, I'm gonna turn it over so you can kind of take your time with this. It would be great to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. And again, just to kind of hit it up right. I mean, this is my own personal opinions, and I just want to make sure that there's no ties to my job actively,
Absolutely.
Right? So it's important.
You have a right to speak. It is what we believe in.
Yeah, and so right, the Second Amendment is obviously something highly important. It's something that I protect and I serve. And protect that Constitution, right? So it's not only my duty, but it's something I personally believe in. And so I actually want to hit you with a stat. And I think stats go a long way as long as they're accurate, right?
Right.
And so according to the FBI database, from September of 2019 to September 2020, there is a 66% increase in firearm purchases. Okay. And so it jumped from like 9 million to 14.8 million. That's a lot. That's a lot. And of those, of that gap, 5 million of those were first time buyers. Yeah. So my question is, how many of those first time buyers really have the experience and the education?
Right.
And it's not just playing a video game or watching a TV or watching a movie and thinking you know how to actually manipulate the firearm and understand how to properly apply the fundamentals and be safe with that.
Right. All right, Ryan, we got you back. Thanks.
Awesome.
So, thanks.
I'm not sure what happened. What's the last thing you heard?
So we were, we were just talking about the two-way discussion you were saying about, do people go into the process having the right understanding, the right education? That's kind of where you were going into, yeah.
Yeah. So, I talked about the statistic of 5 million first-time buyers, right? And is there that education that is attached to that first-time buy? There's a lot of laws in the states that don't necessarily require any additional training if you're just simply purchasing the firearm. It's just that federal background check. But if you're going to apply for that concealed carry, that's when you have that specified training. And so I'll take it and of note that based off the statistic, it was just a background check, and it wasn't for an application for concealed carry per the national database. And so I'm going to surmise and say, hey, there's not a lot of people out there that are first-time purchasers that really don't know necessarily what they're doing. I'm not trying to, denounce them and say you don't know what you're doing as a collective whole, but here's a guy, and this is for me, right? Here's a guy where, this is something that I do. Frankly, if I wasn't in the military, I'd be doing this almost full time for my career.
Right.
And I'm constantly training. I am constantly not just training for competitions, but I'm also training for real world environment and situations that can happen just like that. That pressure, when you talk about, and I'm going to get back on track here in a second.
No, you're good.
When you talk about literally, I'm dead serious there. There's a second and a half in a serious threatening situation. If you have a pistol on you to respond, you have a second and a half.
Wow.
No, I would say the majority of the people, the population, they don't know how little 1.5 seconds really is before something very bad happens.
And decisions have to be made.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that's why it's super critical to get that training. So how we're going to solve that? The best way we're going to solve that is just like we're doing now, Ray. It's through education. It's through education, and it's through spreading the word of don't be afraid of the firearm. Don't be afraid of the thing that it does. Okay. And if you're not, then why not get the training? You should put a little bit of that pride and that ego away that, hey, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're talking about.
Familiarize yourself with the process. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, too, just, I used to be a former firearms instructor a few years back. Yeah. Okay. And I've honestly instructed multiple, like hundreds of people in my career over the 13 years as well. And just to simply teach a brand new shooter the fundamentals from the proper instructor is leagues from just simply thinking that you know what you're doing because you saw it in a movie or a TV or a video game. I'm telling you,
that's a very serious point, right? And we take conversations like this serious. And you also said that the fact that these conversations are having across a lot of tables across the country right now, I think it's important for a lot of various demographics out there to understand that. And you nailed it on the head. And just to kind of wrap up here, we talked about getting that training prior, right? Are you suggesting some type of certificate, or maybe local governments try to get involved a little more, or maybe the private industry steps up to push the needle?
Yeah, so it's a bit of both, right? So like I've already mentioned, a lot of the state programs don't necessarily require you to just go through training. They can only recommend when you purchase. But the majority of the states that require a concealed carry license, you have to go through some kind of training. And so that's where they can hold the person, the civilian, accountable. However, there usually is where you go purchase a firearm. In most places,
you'll have something. Yeah,
you're going to have a private company that has their cards there that says, "Hey, go to me. I will get you certified." And there's these national databases out there that acknowledge your certifications and what training you've done. Yeah. And they're different. They're slightly different. Each company has their little different flair and their different certificate. But ultimately, it's the same thing. If you go shoot with Tim Kennedy and you get his sheepdog certification, right? I mean, that's great. You know, you're spending money for it, but you're getting top of the line training. Well, guess what? He's going to teach you the same fundamentals that you're going to be taught by a local person in your community that has the same experience, or the experience of understanding the fundamentals. Fundamentals are fundamentals. You're going to get the same training. It's just what differs between that more elite training versus that basic training is that how do you apply that fundamentals to achieve more of those complex, difficult scenarios. That's when you get
translate, right? It has to be able to translate over into, you know, what I like to say, the game. So when I work, you know, when I work with some of the young folks that I work with, you know, what we do is not just about, you know, what we're doing, it's about why we're doing it, and then being able to, you know, translate that and then execute in real time situation. Ryan, you've killed it. Before you go, I just want to pick your brain, man. Why do you love this country? Why do you do what you do, man? And we can kind of, you know, powwow on that a little bit, but why, man? Why? Just, I think a lot of folks, you know, always wonder why, you know, folks like you and leaders like you do what you do. And then we'll close it out with this.
I'll keep it simple. And no other country on this planet offers what we offer when it comes to freedom. So, you know, we were so thankful that we were the first country that actually established something different than a monarchy or a dictatorship ever to exist on this planet, and we're still going strong.
Yeah, awesome. Ryan Thursby, 13-year vet, hanging in there, making it happen. We appreciate your time at ReVibeNow.com. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Ray. It's been an awesome time. Hope to you know, do it again and have more future conversations about this important subject.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.